Hello everyone, and welcome back to Age of Mythology Divine Edition. Today, we're going to be looking at the last of the classical age Lakota minor gods, Kappa, who is available to both Ansimaka and Heihan Kaga.
Daku. Wablet. Wamanite.
Kappa is the beaver's spirit of labor and taxes, so it is understandable that its improvements would thereby largely help your economy. Its myth unit is also very unique, being almost entirely an economic unit. Also, I would like to point out the rather cute beaver pictures that we came up with for the icons. Whoops. Kappa's myth unit is the Wawayanka. These are small beaver spirits that can gather gold. This represents the only method of Lakota, that the Lakota have to, without converting an enemy villager, gather gold from a gold mine. They make for quite good gold gatherers, all things considered, but be aware that they do cost 2 population, do not compare to fully upgraded pairs of villagers from other civilizations, and also are myth units, so enemy heroes can deal significant damage to them. They also are quite poor in combat, only having 10 hack damage, only having 35% of each armor type, having relatively low HP, and having the only significant bonus damage that they have be against siege units. All in all, I would not recommend using these guys as frontline troops, but using them to gather gold is extremely handy. Though, of course, you're not going to be gathering gold quite that quickly, as we have cheats enabled, but it's still interesting to look at. Kappa has 2 technologies. The first is Yanka, which is a fantastic Lakota word that means to fell a tree with your teeth. So, yeah, of course, very appropriate here. It increases your Wawayanka's damage by a full 50%, so going from 10 hack damage to 15 hack damage. Increases your Kuwa's damage by 10%, though of course they only use a bow, and lets your Kuwa fell trees in a single blow, similar to the ads of Wepwapwet's technology from ISIS. Kappa's second technology is the Mazaskazi Kappa, which grants your Wawayanka and Stronghearts the ability to slowly generate a bit of gold through combat. This is similar to the Pixiu, but slightly worse given that they have lower population. And while it is not the most beneficial technology in terms of gold gathering, it is still a good way for the Lakota to gather gold, given that they have such a hard time doing that. Kappa's god power, which you get 2 charges of, is Omaka Wapaya, which steals 50% of your enemy's gold and gives it directly to you. Note that this effect is reduced proportionately the more opponents you have. So if you have 2 opponents, they each give you 25% of their gold. And if you have 3 opponents, they each give you 50 divided by 3% of their gold. So essentially, you get 50% of a player's gold. Just in a team game where you have multiple opponents, that 50% is divided evenly among them. Let's get a TC so it stops yelling at us. Alright, let's use the god power. After you use the god power, after a small delay, your opponent will pay you half of their gold. So at this point, Nebesha happened to have 236 gold, and we just stole half of it. As you might imagine, this is most beneficial if you use it right before the enemy would age up. So if you can properly time this god power, you can absolutely screw someone over. Ruin their entire fast heroic, ruin their day, make ISIS players extremely sad if they try to stockpile a lot of gold after their prosperity. And generally, if you audit your opponent correctly, you will know the opportune time to strike. This, in my opinion, along with the Warrianka's ability to gather gold, is the primary reason to go through Kappa, as its technologies are mediocre at best, and in the late game will fall off significantly, since your trade route will be supplying all of the gold you'll ever need, and at that point, it's not worth trading these guys just to kill siege units, given that the Wakugeza, which is your normal infantry, can do that quite well enough. So yes, use this god power to either cripple your opponent's attempted advance, or in the late game when they have basically infinite gold, especially if you're playing against a merc spamming raw player or something. We all have faced against one of those in our day. Then this will be your best friend, and you can steal several thousand gold and at least make them a tiny bit annoyed when it comes to how much mercenary cavalry they can send directly at you. Kappa's cavalry unit, Kappa's Akasita, I should say, is the Strongheart, which is slow and powerful cavalry that attacks all enemy units in front of it with an AoE attack. This is good against archers and other units with low HP, but it does mean that they struggle somewhat in 1v1s. I will now show a video of me doing this in the editor just to prove how significant this difference is. Here's a quick demonstration of the Strongheart's battle prowess. Here we have unupgraded Stronghearts and unupgraded Hippocon, which have, if not identical, comparable costs. We have a line formation where they are fairly close to each other horizontally and gain small amounts of splash damage from the area of effect attack. Here we have the Hippocon bunched up, so they get a large amount of damage from the splash stack, and here we have a simple 1v1. As we can see, we lost when bunched up. We won with most of our Hippocon being very injured in the linear example, and in the 1v1, we survived with over a third of our HP remaining. Note that none of these Hippocon came close to a third. And of course, all of these ones died.